615 minutes. That's how much football Lamine Yamal played at the 2026 World Cup. 8 matches, 7 starts. In all of it, 1 goal and no assists. He finished the tournament as a world champion 6 days after his 19th birthday, and for a month, the argument about him has been the same one. Was Lamine Yamal the best teenager football has produced in 50 years, or did he have a quiet World Cup and get carried by the best defense in the competition? Both readings use the same numbers, which should tell you the numbers aren't doing the work people think they are. Here's the part almost nobody covering this has mentioned. He played the entire tournament managing a torn hamstring. Let's go. Quick note, because some of you have seen the other one. A while back I made a video about how a half-fit Yamal broke Argentina's defensive structure in the final. That was 1 match, 1 problem, 1 solution. This is the other half. 8 matches, not 1. Because if the fitness explains the final, it should explain the rest of the tournament too. And either it does, or the case against him is stronger than I said it was. So, what actually happened? Round by round. What the stat sheet leaves out. And the comparison that makes this genuinely uncomfortable. Start in April. Playing for Barcelona, Yamal tore a hamstring. That's not a knock. A tear is weeks out, and the recovery isn't linear. You come back, and then you spend months rebuilding the sprint capacity you lost. The World Cup started in June. So Spain went into a tournament with their most dangerous attacker, somewhere short of full fitness. And De La Fuente handled it exactly as you'd expect. Yamal appeared in all 8 of Spain's matches, but started 7, around 615 minutes across 8 games, in a tournament where Spain played extra time in the final. That's a player being managed, minutes controlled early, ramped as it went on. And it matters for how you read his output, because the 2 things a hamstring tear takes first are exactly the 2 things his game is built on: repeated maximum speed sprints and the sharpness to change direction at full pace. A winger without those isn't a bad player. He's a different player. He holds the ball longer, he takes the safer option more often, and he stops beating people in the specific way that generates assists. Hold that thought, because we're going to come back to it twice. If you want football covered with the context, rather than just the scoreline, subscribe. It's free. Group H, Match 1, Cabo Verde, in Atlanta. Spain don't score. 0-0, 27 shots. A 40-year-old goalkeeper having the night of his life. Yamal came on in the second half, and it was still 0-0 at the whistle. There's a whole video on that one if you want it. Match 2, Saudi Arabia, 21st of June. Spain win 4-0, and Yamal scores. That's it. That's the goal. 1. In the group stage, roughly 2 months out from a hamstring tear. Match 3. Uruguay, away in Guadalajara, 1-0. Spain topped the group. Round of 32. Austria, 3-0 in Los Angeles, and Yamal is named man of the match. Sit with that for a second. A knockout match at a World Cup, and the official award went to the player half the internet is calling invisible. That's not a fan poll. That's the tournament's own assessment on the night. Round of 16. Portugal, in Dallas, 1-0. And this is the quiet passing of the torch match. Nobody framed that way at the time. Portugal, with Cristiano Ronaldo, in what was his last World Cup, knocked out by a Spain side built around a 19-year-old. One era leaving through the door, the next one just came in. Quarter-final, Belgium, 2-1 in Los Angeles. And that Belgian goal matters, for a reason unrelated to Yamal. It's the only goal Spain conceded in the entire tournament. Semi-final, France, in Dallas, 2-0. We'll come back to this one. Final, Argentina, MetLife, the 19th of July. 0-0 after 90 minutes. Ferran Torres wins it in the 106th, his only goal of the tournament, against 10 men, after Enzo Fernandez picked up a second yellow in stoppage time. 8 matches, 1 goal. World champion. Now back to France, because this is the moment that breaks the 0 assists reading. Dallas. Spain win 2-0. And the goal that opened the scoring came from a penalty. Yamal won it. Think about what that actually is. A World Cup semi-final, level, and a 19-year-old takes the ball at a defender good enough to be there at that stage, and forces contact the referee gives. Now look at where it appears on his statistical line. Nowhere. Not a goal, not an assist. A penalty won is not a chance created in most public datasets. It doesn't move his expected assists. It doesn't appear on any graphic a broadcaster would put up during a match. It just decided a World Cup semi-final. Let's actually explain the problem, because stats don't tell the whole story, is a thing people say when they've lost an argument, and I don't want to be that. Here's the specific, mechanical issue. An assist is credited to the last pass before a goal. That's it. That's the entire definition, which means it measures one thing: who happened to be holding the ball at the final moment of a successful move. It doesn't measure who created the situation. It doesn't measure who pulled the defender that opened the lane. It doesn't measure who was double-marked so that somebody else was free. Take a simple example. Yamal draws two defenders wide. That leaves a Spain player free in the middle. The ball goes wide, to middle, to finish. The pass into the middle gets the assist. Yamal, whose presence caused the entire thing, gets nothing. Now, the honest counter to that, and hold this in your head, is that it's true for every winger who ever played, and most of them still manage assists. Salah got them, Mbappe got them. The definition being imperfect doesn't explain why one particular player got 0. Expected assists was invented partly to fix this. It measures the quality of the chances a player's passes create, rather than whether they were finished. His expected assists number was low too, under 2, by the count in front of me, so I'm not going to pretend the advanced numbers rescue him. They don't, they soften it. What they do tell you is what kind of player he was at this tournament. Someone whose value was in occupying defenders rather than in delivering the final ball. And there is no widely used public statistic that measures occupying defenders. That's not a defense. It's a description of what you can and can't see from a spreadsheet. So what else is there? Around 82% pass accuracy. For a wide forward whose job is difficult, passes into congested areas. That's high. Most wingers sit well below it, because the passes they attempt are harder. 38 duels won across the tournament. From a 19-year-old carrying a hamstring, against fullbacks who all knew exactly what was coming, and the dribbling number, which I'm going to be careful about because my sources disagree. One count has him at 22 successful dribbles, another has him at 35 and calls it a tournament high. Those probably reconcile as attempted versus completed, but I don't know that, so I'm not going to tell you a number as though I do. What both agree on is the direction. Throughout the tournament, he was the Spain player most often taking the ball at an opponent and going at them, which is precisely what the hamstring should have removed. It didn't. Here's the comparison that should make anyone defending Yamal uncomfortable, including me. 2018, Kylian Mbappe is 19 years old at a World Cup. He scores 4 goals, one of them in the final. He's named the tournament's best young player, and France win it. Same age, same trophy, 4 times the goals, and a goal in the final. Go back further, 1958, Pelé is 17. He scores 6, including 2 in the final. That's the standard the generational teenager conversation is actually measured against. And on that standard, Yamal's tournament isn't close. Now, the fair rebuttals. There are 2. 1. Neither of them was injured. Mbappe arrived at 2018 fit. Pelé missed matches with a knee problem and still scored 6, so that one cuts both ways. 2. They played different jobs. Mbappe in 2018 was used as a direct runner in behind, in a France side built to counter-attack, with space to run into all tournament. Yamal in 2026 was the focal point of a possession side that averaged huge amounts of the ball, facing teams sitting deep, with no space behind at all. Those are not the same task, and they don't produce the same numbers even from the same player. But if you want the honest version, the comparison still hurts. And anyone telling you this was obviously a great individual tournament is skipping past it. So the case against, made as strongly as I can make it. One goal is one goal. You can contextualize it. I've just spent 10 minutes doing exactly that. But at some point, an elite attacker at a World Cup has to affect the scoreboard. And he affected it once in 8 matches. Spain didn't win because of him. They won because they conceded a single goal in the entire tournament. Rodri took the golden ball. Unai Simon took the golden glove. If you rebuilt Spain's campaign from its most important components, Yamal isn't in the top 3. And someone who'd know said it out loud. Robert Lewandowski, asked about him, said we didn't see his best, that the best version of Yamal was 2 seasons ago. That's a Barcelona teammate, not a rival fan, not a stats account, someone who trains with him every week. And the fitness argument concedes something. If he spent 8 matches managing a hamstring, that explains the output, but he had a reason for playing below his level, and he played at his level are different claims, and only one of them is a defense. If you think this is settled in Yamal's favor, you have to answer Lewandowski, and you have to answer Mbappe. If this is how you want players analyzed, with the caveats left in, and the uncomfortable comparison included, subscribe and turn on notifications. One record, and one correction I'd rather you heard from me. The record. By beating Argentina, Yamal became the youngest player in history to have won both the European Championship and the World Cup. The Euros at 16, the World Cup at 19, 6 days after his 19th birthday. The correction. You may have seen it claimed that his goal against Saudi Arabia made him Spain's youngest ever World Cup scorer, breaking Gavi's record. It didn't. Gavi was 18 years and 110 days when he scored against Costa Rica in 2022. That made him Spain's youngest, and the youngest scorer at any World Cup since Pelé in 1958. Yamal, at 18 years and 343 days, is 233 days older. He's second, which is still remarkable. It just isn't the record, and I'm not going to hand you a fake one because it makes the video land better. One more thing, because it reframes everything above. The next World Cup is 2030. Yamal will be 22, turning 23 during it, which is roughly the age Mbappé was in 2022, when he scored a hat-trick in a World Cup final, and part of that tournament is being played in Spain. So the actual question about this World Cup might not be, was he good enough? It might be, was this the floor? A tournament played at reduced capacity, against a low block, inside the recovery window of a serious injury, and he still came away with a man of the match in a knockout tie, a penalty won in a semi-final, and a winner's medal. If that's what Yamal looks like at 80%, 2030 is a genuinely frightening prospect for everyone else. Or this is the level. The hamstring is a convenient story, and Lewandowski already told us what he saw. We find out in 4 years. So pick a side, and pick the version that's actually in dispute. Not, is Yamal good? He's 19, he has a Euros and a World Cup, and nobody in the history of the sport has done both faster. The real question is, what a torn hamstring is worth as an explanation. If you think 8 matches at reduced sprint capacity accounts for 1 goal and no assists, and that winning the penalty which opened a World Cup semi-final is worth more than the stat sheet gives it, make that case. If you think an elite forward produces regardless, that Mbappé managed 4 at the same age, and that Spain won this on Rodri and a defense that conceded once, make that one. And if you've watched the Argentina video, tell me whether this changes it or confirms it. That's the one I actually want to know. Comments below. Best arguments get pinned. Subscribe to Pitchside FC. Turn on notifications. Pitchside FC. Pick a side.